The topic we're talking about today is animal rights. So do you have an opinion on animal rights?
I think we need to look after animals. Mm-hmm. I think they have a right to be on this planet as we do. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Do you think we should have law protecting them from acts of cruelty?
Yes.
Do you think there should be law protecting animals from being killed?
And you wouldn't have them, would you? I mean, we've got, where we live, there's these big cows, brown cows. I'm a bit scared of them, and they just roam and eat grass. But they're not going to be there to look pretty. They're not in beauty queens, are they?
Sure. They wouldn't exist
if... They wouldn't exist, would they?
I see what you're saying. These animals that we're breeding, they wouldn't exist if we weren't eating them, because that's the reason we're breeding them. But to give you like an analogous situation, say if I was breeding animals for the purpose of dogfighting, and someone said, "Don't do that, you're harming the animals." And I said to them, "Well, these dogs wouldn't exist if I didn't..."
I'd rather they didn't exist. I think dogfighting's terrible.
Yeah, because it causes this suffering to the dogs. Yeah. And I suppose could someone say the same thing about the cows? In the dairy industry, the babies never stay with their mothers; they're taken away. Could someone say, well, these animals would be better off not being born? If they're being born just to be used, surely they'd be better off just not existing.
Oh my word, that is such an amazingly emotive thing, isn't it?
Got to eat. Mm-hmm. So
it would more be an argument from necessity rather than the pleasure per se.
You don't have to eat meat, but people eat meat and want to eat meat, so it's a fair enough reason to kill it if it's grown as livestock. Mm-hmm. For me,
if we don't need to, say if we could eat, say, plants and be healthy, would we say that it's needless then? It's needless killing?
It's not needed, but it's
something we want.
It's like you want it, and like, I'm not saying it's tradition, but people are used to eating meat now.
If it's true that it's not something we need to eat, and it's something that we want to eat, is whether we want to do something, is that a good enough moral justification for killing that we want to?
No.
First of all, I am an animal lover. Mm-hmm. That's why I come to this park. I come to see the pelican.
Sure.
But I don't think we need to put them in the zoo, because they desire to have their own free will, just like humans. As a human being, we have rights to be free, and I think animals have right to be free as well.
Why do you think animals deserve to be free? What is it about them that means that they matter morally?
They have their own consciousness.
Right.
But you've never had to put an animal out of suffering or something like that? No.
Oh, I mean, yes, I've seen insects suffering and put them out of their misery.
Yeah, but not a mammal, say.
No.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah. Because there are times when one has to do that, and it's not pleasant. And I think for most people, it probably resonates. For a while with them.
I suppose when people say get their pets put down, and we do it because we think it's in their best interest, it's what we'd want done if we were in their position, if they're suffering a lot. But do you think that's this very distinct from, say, farm breeding and killing an animal because I want the pleasure from eating them? I guess one is done for helping the non-human, and the other one is done for pleasure.
For gratification, which is not arguably, which is usually unnecessary.
Do you think that getting pleasure from eating certain types of foods, is that a good enough justification to contribute to the cruelty?
No.
What would we use as a justification to say this is why it's not wrong?
One of the things, like personally for me, because I'm actually a Catholic, like they ate animals in the Bible and they spoke about it.
Yeah.
Like that's what I kind of use as a moral base.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, do you think that as a society our morals have progressed since the times that the book was written? Like in terms of our views about homosexuals, for instance.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So, we wouldn't say it's immoral to be gay because it's criticized in the Bible.
No. Oh yeah, I'm 100% for gay marriage and things like that.
So I suppose there's something else in your psyche that kind of you're not getting all your morals
I'm
from the
not a
Bible.
literalist.
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
So
So do you think that, say, if someone was to say to you, it's ethical to kill animals because they do it in the Bible, would that be a good enough justification?
well, coming to think about it, no.
What if I said to you, I'm going to continue killing animals because other animals do it? Would that be a good argument?
It's just like when you say because there are murderers in the world, so I am going to murder too. So I don't
Right.
think it's an argument.
Does human suffering matter more than non-human suffering?
Does my suffering matter more than your suffering?
I think if we
To me or to you?
I think if we equalize the suffering, the same amount of suffering, I think we matter equally.
If you were suffering, I'd try and help you.
Yeah. What if I was a pig?
Well, I mean, it's interesting to look at animals because animals don't necessarily help other animals that are suffering. Some do, and it's remarkable when they do.
Yeah.
But others will either attack them or flee from them.
Yeah.
And that can be quite a guttural reaction a human can have as well.
They don't seem to have the moral agency we have, the understanding of right and wrong that we can have. I mean, I suppose we could say that some humans don't have moral agency either. There are some people with mental disabilities or disorders where they can't understand the perspective of others.
And we feel more inclined to look after them.
Right.
Although it probably is seen as immoral, it's not going to stop. People will want to eat meat at the end of the day.
I guess we could say the same thing about sexual abuse. We could say it's always going to happen. It's happening today. We can make it illegal, but we can't stop it from happening completely. But I guess an advocate might say something like, well, we can still try to make it happen less, you know? We can certainly not do it ourselves. Do you think it's more in line with who you are and your morals to live a vegan lifestyle?
Yes, I think it is. And it's not a huge step.
Right.
If one's a vegetarian.
Yeah.
No.
I think kind of a lot of the motivation to make that step comes from sort of seeing something that can act as a catalyst, seeing a documentary about what's actually happening. I think a lot of us have this idea like, oh, it's in the UK, it's not as bad as elsewhere. There's a documentary now, actually. I'll give you a card. It's called Land of Hope and Glory, and it's not an easy watch, but it's only about 40 minutes.
Thank you.
It's there. It's on YouTube. You just type it into YouTube. It's a documentary. It goes through the processes for meat, dairy, eggs, all of these different foods, and tells you how we get them in the UK. And it's not so much showing animals being beaten and abused by individuals. It's more showing the standard legal practices.
Yes.
So I think it's a really good watch, Land of Hope and Glory.
Do you feel quite strongly that there should be legislation surrounding these issues? That was where we started in a way.
I do. Yeah, I think that I think the reason that humans have moral values because they can experience, they're sentient beings, and I think that non-humans are also sentient and
remember.
yeah.
Sorry.
And if we harm them, they can feel it, and it's an unpleasant experience. And I think we should try to do as much as we can to make less unpleasant experience exist in the future. And having legislation to protect non-humans would be a step in the right direction.
I think people just see, whether like they're going back to the dominant species, I think people do see the difference between a human and an animal.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it is justified to eat meat.
What is the difference that justifies that, do you think?
They're more intelligent. I don't know.
No, that's one that comes up a lot. I mean, if we imagine, say, a human who's of very low intelligence, say the intelligence of a 3-year-old, maybe they've got some kind of mental disability, do you think we would be justified in treating them worse because of their lesser intelligence?
No.
So do you think that animals being of lesser intelligence, is that a good enough reason to treat them worse?
100% no.
You know about the male chicks being ground up alive in the egg industry. If you had, in order to eat eggs for the rest of your life, if there was a chick in a blender and you have to press the button to grind up this animal while they're fully conscious, would you press it or would you give up eggs?
I wouldn't press it. No, there'd be no good reason to, would there?
I suppose in a way, that's kind of the choice we're making every day.
Yes.
It's an easy source of food which will fill you up.
And it does taste good as well.
It does.
That's the thing.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I love the taste of meat in all these products. But do you think that pleasure is a good enough justification for violence?
No.
Yeah, I mean, that's like kind of a rabbit hole that would take us to some crazy places, I guess.
Yeah.
But I agree, it's more convenient as well to live as someone who eats meat. These products are everywhere. But what's more important to you, I guess, is the question: convenience or an animal's life?
So you hear like that, it sounds bad.
I could never do the actual killing myself.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, I guess when you are purchasing like meat products, you are like enabling them to like keep on doing it. Like
Right.
supply and demand,
Supply and
isn't it?
demand, yeah.
So
This here, Land of Hope and Glory, it's on YouTube. It's like a 40-minute documentary